Quote, white supremacy is a poison, end quote. That's what the President of the United States felt moved to say today. It's the kind of thing that in a different time, even relatively recently, say 10 years ago, might sound odd if you flipped on the news and heard that. But that's what President Biden said in Buffalo today because of what we're living through and what apparently it is necessary to say right now after a racist massacre and the deadliest shooting of the year. The president met with the families of 10 people who were killed, allegedly targeted for their race and their race alone. Investigators diving into a trove of posts online written by this person who has been indicted for the shooting, a self-proclaimed white supremacist who adheres to replacement theory, something we have scrutinized and documented as a debunked conspiracy theory on this very program. As we pointed out to you, it is a conspiracy theory that surges in interest around two things: mass shootings like this one, which have a shooter or alleged shooter who cites it, and when Tucker Carlson pushes it on his watched show on Fox News. The whole idea is that racial minorities from abroad, helped in some way by Jews in the United States, will take over and replace the rightful legacy, quote-unquote, white class.
The hate that through the media and politics, the internet, has radicalized, angry, alienated, lost, and isolated individuals into falsely believing that they will be replaced, that's the word, replaced, by the other, by people who don't look like them. I call on all Americans to reject the lie, and I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit.
The president makes an important point there and a distinction. Racism and anti-Semitism are very old. Most people know that. There are different ways to whip it up, and there are plenty of people, including entire societies, that hurt each other, themselves, and everyone by believing in those kind of hate ideologies. That's the old stuff. Then you have the new stuff, which is the business model, the profit, the people who run the companies and websites, and they do this for money, and they do it regardless of any other reasoning. They certainly do it often knowing that it's false. Tucker Carlson has done many other jobs where he claimed to have other views. He used to host This Hour on MSNBC. A little bit of news trivia there. But now Tucker Carlson pushes this crap. In fact, he's done it over 400 times since 2016, according to a count by the New York Times. And this person indicted for the mass murder referred to replacement theory 28 times in the very rant that he posted right before the attack. So that's a fact that you have to deal with. If you watch this program, you may know we are very careful about facts and about causality. I said yesterday, and I'll say again right now, no causation has been established between this environment, between what has been on Fox News and this particular shooter, although Fox and he are pushing the same crap. But if you watched Fox, you wouldn't even know there was any potential overlap at all. Fox hosts mostly avoiding acknowledging this fact in any way during the deadliest shooting of the year.
So what is hate speech? Well, it's speech that our leaders hate. So because a mentally ill teenager murdered strangers, you cannot be allowed to express your political views out loud. That's what they're telling you.
After the shooting, it took Democrats just 3 hours to start blaming Republicans and conservatives and talk show hosts and Fox News.
Their new motto seems to be, if you can't beat them, use your corporate shills to censor them. The justification is always some horrific shooting or a protest that goes wrong.
In the final clip there, you see on the screen a bunch of news organizations. Of course, again, responsible people reporting on the facts of this are not even trying to claim causality, which, by the way, investigators look at that kind of thing, and that's a much more complex process. But if you watch Fox, all you would know is that this replacement theory is being mainlined, presented to you as something less than its hateful, racist, anti-Semitic actual reality, and then it would be somehow elided from what motivated the shooters, I should say the alleged shooter, according to his own screed. And then, to top it all off, there's another rant about supposed censorship. Meanwhile, today, if you did watch Fox, they haven't slowed down the references that come up when they want to weave in this debunked theory.
It's not just that the Biden administration and Democrats don't have a plan. The plan is not to have a plan. The plan is that the optics might look not great for them right now. They might take a hit in the midterms. They don't care. These are future voters. They want to bring in as many as possible, change the voting rules and regulations, provide amnesty, and get these people voting.
That is a version of the replacement theory. As I mentioned, for an anti-immigrant screed, it is also an immigrant idea, quote unquote, because it comes out of right-wing France, comes out of a castle. We did that reporting for you last night. It also comes out of a fear, but mostly it's built on hate and lies. This is a country of immigrants. You've heard that before. It's become cliched. This is a country where people come in, and over time, if they come in legally, they do become citizens. What that contributor to Fox just said, what you just heard described as some sort of terrible scare tactic, is literally the originalist rule of law of this nation, where citizenship is based on participating in the rule of law legally, not based on your identity. And for a movement that claims to be against identity politics, among other things, it is the height of hypocrisy. We're joined now by someone who used to run the Republican National Committee, who backed Joe Biden in the last election, Michael Steele. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to have you. When you look at what we just saw there, a kind of a classic guilty defensive 1-2 punch of trying to hide or lie about the part that is basically indefensible. I mean, they really don't want to talk about the fact that there's that overlap. Again, I didn't say causality, but that overlap. And then two, going right back at it and telling everyone, if you look a certain way, you should be afraid of these other people who look a different way. And we're going to lie you into fear, and then they're going to claim they're not the ones playing hate, racial identity politics.
Well, it's all such claptrap. It's just a bunch of noise, and they know it. The fact of the matter is the ancestors of those individuals did exactly what they think is happening to them. Their ancestors came in and replaced the Native Americans. And so that's history. That's fact. We know that. So we are the owners of this land is a bunch of malarkey. And everyone knows it. Everyone's come to accept what this land means to each generation, each successive generation of Americans and immigrants who want to be Americans and immigrants who want to hold on to their native land but have a little piece of America too. And yes, those who come here because of the trials and pressures and dangers of their homeland. So we've always embraced that. These very same Republicans at Fox know damn well what that journey has been like, and also know that Republicans for generations were advocates for that self-same journey, that recognized the power of the immigrant story, that embraced that in a way that, yeah, we wanted accountability for those who came in illegally and sort of get back in the line and do it the right way, but also not demonizing every immigrant, every migrant, everyone who comes here who isn't white. That has never been the narrative. And yet now it is in full-throated voice. So it's a little bit disingenuous for sure, but we're used to this song, Ari. We've heard it so many times before. We know how the lyrics go. We know how it ends when it's over. And the reality of it is it points out why elections matter and why tonight, like many nights now and in the future, will matter. If Americans want to change that claptrap, that noise from that hard, ugly right, then you need to put in some people who are not going to succumb to it and promote it.